Thank you for attending the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority School Board Employees webinar. During today's webinar, we'll have a high-level overview of the 3 retirement tiers and retirement eligibility, and we'll discuss reciprocity with TRS. We'll look at how service is determined differently for school board employees, and how summer months can be purchased, and how those costs are determined. Last, we'll go over retiring with TRS reciprocity, health insurance after retirement, and reemployment after retirement. KPPA administers benefits for over 410,000 members participating within at least one of the 3 retirement systems. Under the umbrella of KPPA, we administer County Employees Retirement System, often referred to as CERS, the Kentucky Employees Retirement System, often referred to as KERS, and the State Police Retirement System, also known as SPRS. CERS and KERS have both hazardous and non-hazardous employees, and SPRS has hazardous employees only. Pension and insurance benefits paid to our retirees and beneficiaries are funded through 3 different sources: employee contributions, employer contributions, and the return on investments. We'll take a closer look at the first 2 sources on the next slide, but let's take a minute to discuss the third, which is the return on our investments. The CERS and KRS Board of Trustees are charged with the responsibility of investing the system assets to provide for the benefits of the members of the systems operated by KPPA. To achieve that goal, the boards follow policies of thoughtfully growing the system's asset bases while protecting against undue risk and losses in any particular investment area. Let's examine the first 2 sources mentioned earlier to better understand how the 3 work together to fund your retirement benefits. Again, let's take a closer look at the first 2 sources. The first source is the employee or member contributions. Employee contributions are set by statute and depend on the type of service and benefit tier. Non-hazardous employees pay 5% of their creditable compensation, and hazardous employees pay 8%. The second source is employer contributions. Recommended employer contribution rates are determined by KPPA's independent actuary based on data in the annual actuarial valuation. The CERS and KRS Boards of Trustees adopt employer contribution rates necessary for the actuarial soundness of the systems governed by the respective boards as required by state law. The KERS and SPRS rates are subject to approval by the Kentucky General Assembly through the adoption of the biennial executive branch budget. The CERS board sets the CERS contribution rates unless altered by legislation enacted by the General Assembly. Each member is placed in a tier which is specific to their participation date. There are 3 different tiers. Tier 1 is for those members with an initial participation date prior to September 1st of 2008. Tier 2 is for members that have a participation date on or after September 1st of 2008 through December 31st of 2013. And Tier 3 is for members with a participation date on or after January 1st of 2014. Tiers 1 and 2 are both considered defined benefit plans, which simply means that a formula is used to calculate the member's retirement benefits, whereas Tier 3 is considered a hybrid cash balance plan, since it uses a specific formula that determines the value of benefits for each participant based on their individual account. Knowing your participation date is essential to understanding how your benefits are calculated. It helps determine your retirement eligibility, and it even defines your health insurance tier. If you're unsure of your participation date, log into your member self-service account at myretirement.ky.gov or contact a call center counselor with your PIN at 1-800-928-4646. Now that we understand why it's important to know your benefit tier, let's take a look at how credible compensation is defined for our members. So what is credible compensation? Credible compensation is defined as earnings that must be reported to KPPA and is used to calculate your retirement benefits. Credible compensation is the same regardless of which tier a member participates. Included in credible compensation is all salary, wages, tips, and fees, as well as lump sum bonuses, severance pay, or employer-provided payments for purchase of service credit. Lump sum payments for sick leave, if the employer participates in the alternate sick leave program, may also be considered credible compensation. What's not included is living allowances, expense reimbursements, unused vacation pay, and lump sum payments for unused sick leave, unless the agency participates in the alternate sick leave program. One of the biggest misconceptions our members have is that unpaid vacation time will count towards their retirement benefits. When a member takes their annual time as paid time off, retirement contributions are withheld. However, if a member receives a lump sum payment at their termination for the balance of vacation leave, this is not considered credible compensation and therefore does not increase the member's retirement benefits. To retire with full retirement benefits, meaning no penalty is calculated to reduce the benefit amount, a non-hazardous Tier 1 member is required to meet one of the following criteria. He or she must have 27 years of service, regardless of age, or reach the age of 65, regardless of service. Notice I mentioned only one of those requirements must be met to reach retirement eligibility. Tier 2 or Tier 3 members have the same eligibility requirements for normal or full retirement benefits. Non-hazardous members must retire under the Rule of 87 or reach age 65 with 60 months of service. The Rule of 87 states that a member must be a minimum of 57 years old, and their age plus their service years must equal at least 87. For example, if a member wishes to retire at the earliest age allowable, they would need to reach 30 years of service to add to their age of 57, which would satisfy the Rule of 87 requirement. 57 years old plus 30 years of service equals 87. Tier 1 and Tier 2 non-hazardous members have the option to retire early with a penalty to reduce their retirement benefit. For Tier 1 non-hazardous members, you must have at least 25 years of service, but less than 27, regardless of age, or you must be at least age 55 with 60 months of service. Tier 2 non-hazardous members may retire with a reduced benefit at age 60 with at least 120 months of service. Tier 3 members are not permitted to retire early and therefore must meet the requirement from the previous slide or take a refund of their accumulated account balance at the time of termination. As we discussed earlier, the 3 benefit tiers retirements calculations are based upon a formula. For Tier 1 and Tier 2, the same formula is used, but the variables within the formula differ. For Tier 1 and Tier 2 members, the calculation for retirement is the member's final compensation multiplied by a benefit factor multiplied by the member's years of service. For Tier 3 members, the calculation to determine retirement benefits is the member's accumulated account balance divided by an actuarial factor. Members with more than one retirement plan administered by the Commonwealth of Kentucky may be allowed to combine service to determine eligibility for benefits, total service credit, and final compensation. Each system will pay a benefit based on the amount of service in that system. We have already discussed the plans administered by KPPA. The other plans in Kentucky are Teachers Retirement System, or TRS, Legislators Retirement Plan, or LRP, and Judicial Retirement Plan, or JRP. So what is a classified school board employee? It is a member who participates in CERS and works for a local board of education in a classified position. Classified personnel are typically in non-instructional positions. Those that do have an instructional position are certified employees and participate in the teacher's retirement system. Classified positions in CERS include bus drivers and monitors, teachers' aides, cafeteria workers, custodial staff, and secretarial personnel. Classified positions are considered non-hazardous. While most school boards joined CERS in the mid-70s, some joined in the late 50s up through the 60s. If you are currently a certified employee, that doesn't mean you're in the wrong place if you happen to have classified service in the past. Stick around to learn how to use reciprocity when filing for retirement using both KPPA and TRS service towards overall eligibility and benefit calculations. Kentucky Revised Statute 61.680 and Kentucky Administrative Regulation 1020 provide for a reciprocal agreement between KERS, CERS, SPRS, JRP, LRP, and TRS. The reciprocal agreement provides that at the time of early, normal, or disability retirement or death, a member's total service in each system will be used toward determining eligibility for retirement benefits and for determining the level of coverage available to the member under group medical insurance plans. For example, Jane was employed with a local board of education in a classified position and accumulated 12 years of service in CERS. She is now employed with the same board of education as a teacher and has accumulated 15 years of service in TRS. Jane would be eligible to retire at any age with no reductions in her benefits because she has accumulated a combined total of 27 years of service. She would receive a retirement benefit from the CERS service and a separate retirement benefit based on the TRS service. Please note, in order to receive benefits from all the systems, you must submit the required retirement forms to each system at the time of retirement. The process of KPPA determining service for our classified members is different from our non-classified members. A classified employee must average at least 80 hours per month based on days worked in a school year to receive participating service. Non-school board employees, for example, must work at least 100 hours per month over a calendar or fiscal year. A school board employee also works a set number of days in a school year to determine service. A minimum of 180 days worked is required in each year to earn 12 months of service. Let's look at a brief history of how KPPA has determined service for school board employees over the years, as it has changed periodically. We'll also review how service is determined at the end of each fiscal year based on days worked. For those of you who have reviewed your account history and member self-service, you may have noticed you do not have full 12-month years for every year you have service. Prior to the 1996-1997 fiscal year, service credit was given for each month that wages were reported, provided that the service averaged over the calendar or fiscal year. In 1997, the methodology to determine service changed. KPPA took the days worked and divided by 20. The result was rounded, and that many months were awarded. From the 2000-2001 year to current times, KPPA awards service based on days worked, using the actual days worked divided by 180, then multiplied by 12. If the member works at least 180 days in a year and is reported as employed for all 12 months, the member should receive a full year of service. As you can see in the chart on the screen, members are awarded service based on the number of days worked in proportion to 180. If the employee is first hired in August of a year, or if the member retires June 1st of a year, but works more than 180 days, they can only be awarded a maximum of 11 months. This is because they were not yet an actual employee of the school board, or they retired before the full year was complete. To determine service in the future for those members in the retirement process, KPPA requires employers to complete and return Section H of Form 6000. This will allow KPPA to award future service based on projected days worked. KPPA does not require Section H to be completed for those members who are currently participating in Teachers' Retirement System. Now that we know how school board service is determined differently than non-school board employees, let's look at options concerning service purchases. Participating Tier 1 and Tier 2 members have the ability to purchase service to enhance their retirement benefits, and in some circumstances purchase it to retire earlier. Tier 3 members may have the option to purchase service, but it is on a much more limited scale. One service purchase type that is particular to school board employees is called summer months. These are months that can be purchased to complete years in which you were employed but not reported for 12 months. Summer months were more common in the 90s, when most members were not awarded 12 months per year due to the previously mentioned reporting rules at the time. As most members now receive 12 months per year by virtue of working 180 days per year, this service purchase is not as common as it once was. To see a full list of our service purchase types, go to our website at kyret.ky.gov, click on Members, then Tier 1, then click on Purchasing Credit and Service Types. In a perfect world, everyone would work until they are eligible for a monthly benefit. We all know that this is not the case, and people change jobs and careers frequently. If you are currently employed and participating in KPPA, and subsequently terminate employment, there are a few different options available to you when it comes to your retirement account. First, you can leave it alone. You are under no obligation to take your contributions out of KPPA. They will continue to earn interest, and if you ever return to employment with an agency that participates with KPPA, it will pick up where it left off. If you never return to employment with a KPPA agency, you can ultimately be eligible for retirement if you are vested. You can also take a refund of your contributions and interest at any time, provided you are not participating. By taking a refund, you are forfeiting any retirement benefits you've accrued up to that point, and if you ever do return to employment with a participating agency, you will be in whatever tier is available to new hires at that time. If you are a Tier 1, Tier 2, or non-vested Tier 3 member, you receive your contributions and interest only in a refund. If you are a vested Tier 3 employee, you receive not only your contributions, but the employer pay credit, plus accumulated interest on both accounts. Vesting occurs when you have 60 months of service with KPPA. If you do take a refund, you have the option of rolling part or all of those funds into another retirement account. This will defer any taxes. Otherwise, a cash refund payment is subject to 20% withholding for federal taxes, and you may have to pay additional taxes when you file the next year. When you are ready to retire, there are some guidelines that you should follow as far as timing your paperwork. First, we recommend that you file for retirement 45 to 60 days prior to your effective retirement date. If you do have service with TRS, they do have separate timelines for retirement paperwork. Contact TRS for more information. If you do have service with TRS and you wish to use reciprocity, you need to have the same retirement date for both systems. Additionally, on our Form 6000 Notification of Retirement, there is a section to indicate from which retirement systems you are retiring. Make sure to indicate TRS on the form. Regardless if you are retiring with reciprocity or with KPPA only, all paperwork involving your retirement, which includes choosing your payment option and insurance, must be in our office by close of business of the last day of the month before your retirement date. If you do have reciprocity with TRS, it is important that you fill out insurance applications with both systems, one to choose insurance and one to waive. TRS may have additional fees associated with health insurance. Taking insurance with KPPA may not eliminate those fees. Here is an example of a member retiring using reciprocity with TRS. Jane is a certified employee with TRS and is going to retire July 1st. She needs to complete a retirement application with Teacher's Retirement and file at least a month before. At the same time, she will need to submit Form 6000 for her classified service with KPPA. We will use her combined service to determine eligibility and to see if there will be any early retirement penalty. Because Jane is Tier 1, we will also review her salaries from both systems to determine her final compensation, which is the average of her 5 highest salaries.
KPPA offers health insurance to both Medicare-eligible and non-Medicare-eligible retirees. Which one you receive is based on your Medicare status. At the very least, in order to receive health insurance benefits, you have to be receiving a monthly benefit from KPPA as a retiree or as a beneficiary. And, depending on when you started participation, KPPA will pay either a percentage or a set dollar amount towards your monthly health insurance premium. First, we'll go over the percentage-based contribution group. This is for members who began participation prior to July 1st of 2003. As you can see on the chart, the two columns on the left show a percentage amount that KPPA will pay toward your monthly premium. If retired with reciprocity, your combined service with TRS is used to determine the percentage. The percentage paid is based on a contribution rate that is determined annually by the KPPA Board of Trustees and is typically based on one of the premiums offered for the non-Medicare or Medicare-eligible plans. Insurance eligibility and coverage paid at retirement changed for those members who began participation on or after July 1st of 2003. First, there was an eligibility requirement added that stated retirees with a participation date between July 1st of 2003 and August 31st of 2008 had to have at least 10 years of service. Anyone retiring with a participation date on or after September 1st of 2008 has to retire with at least 15 years of service to be eligible for the health insurance benefit. When first established in 2003, it was determined that non-hazardous members would receive $10 for each year of service or $15 for each hazardous year of service. This amount will be applied against the monthly premium cost for a non-Medicare or Medicare-eligible plan. Every July since, that dollar contribution has had a cost of living adjustment applied. Currently, the statutory increase is 1.5%. Effective July 1st of 2026, all non-hazardous members in the dollar contribution plan will pay 1% of their credible compensation into a health insurance fund. Members who retire having reached the career threshold will receive an enhanced monthly contribution toward the non-Medicare health insurance premiums. The laws that govern reemployment after retirement have changed over the years, and there was a new change that went into effect January 1st of 2024. Effective that date, retired members need only to observe a 1 calendar month break before returning to reemployment. When you retire, you must end all employment with any participating agency, and you can have no prearranged agreement to return to employment with any participating agency. A prearranged agreement can be a written or oral contract or a mutual understanding. So when you retire, it is under the condition that you have terminated all participating employment and have no plans in place at that time to return. If KPPA finds that there was not a proper break in service, or that there was a prearranged agreement to return to employment, your retirement can be voided. This means that you had to pay back any monetary sums that KPPA had paid you, plus any insurance premiums paid on your behalf.
Should you decide to return to employment with a participating agency in any capacity within 12 months of your effective retirement date, you and the employer must complete forms to verify that there was no prearranged agreement to return to employment. After 12 months have passed since your effective retirement date, you and any new employer no longer have to submit any paperwork to KPPA. We have several ways for you to contact us. You can always speak with a benefit counselor by calling KPPA at 1-800-928-4646. You may send your general questions or concerns to the KPPA email address at kppa.mail@kyret.ky.gov. Remember, email is not secure, so we ask you to refrain from sending confidential information to this email address. Of course, it's important to keep your email address up to date for special announcements, registration opportunities for live webinars, member newsletters, and more. Our office's physical and mailing address is 1260 Louisville Road, Frankfort, Kentucky, 40601. Also, make sure to like KPPA on Facebook and follow KPPA on X, formerly known as Twitter. and look for YouTube videos online for more information regarding your retirement benefits. It's important to visit the KPPA website at kyret.ky.gov for all of our publications, self-service information, and announcements. Our legal notice concludes the School Board Employees webinar. This presentation, of course, is intended for general information reference only, so if you do have specific questions regarding your account, please contact us at 1-800-928-4646. On behalf of myself and the other KPPA staff, thank you and have a great day.